Hello and welcome to another wicked gameplay video. Today we're back in X-Plane and we're looking at a twin-engine aircraft today. This is the Carenado B200 King Air, which is a very nice aircraft that they have. Has the cool winglets on the side here, which we're going to have a look at. So let's just have a little look around the plane here. It's a plane I've had for a while. I haven't really spent a lot of time flying it. But it is very nice. I spent maybe a day or so ago. I spent a bit of time flying it, and I was wondering why I hadn't spent more time in this aircraft. I guess it's just that I have so many, and just whatever time, I just really haven't spent a lot of time in it. But it is very nice. You can see it's typical of the Carenado aircraft, highly detailed, looks fantastic, model looks great. And yeah, it's a very nice aircraft. Generally I fly single engine. This is a twin engine, and we're going to have a look at this. You can see here we've got some options for the passenger area, and let's just have a look at the options here. So not this one, we want to go with this one. So we can have window reflections. Don't know if I really see any difference there. Can we get back in? Maybe that's when we're in the aircraft, we'll have a look at that. The static elements, pretty standard stuff. The passenger door opens, it's animated quite fast. I don't know if that makes any real difference, but you can see that's quite fast there. The cockpit door, we'll have a look in there, and you can fly it with and without the winglets. We're just going to leave the winglets on this time. So if we were to, I'm wondering, can I actually just try to walk into the aircraft here? We'll see if we can get around to it. So you should be able to. No, it doesn't want to let me. Maybe we'll jump in the cockpit and have a look. So this is what it looks like from the inside. And you have the cockpit door here, which can be opened. Should be this one. And I think now you can see that the interior of the plane is actually all modelled. Very cool. Leather seats. Got some lighting here. I believe these work. Here we've got some rotating lights here. You can go all the way through. These probably open here. And fold away. Where's the click spot? Is it there? Yep, it is. And you can go all the way to the back. Another seat here. Not sure why we couldn't get out the back. Look out there. And then we have our, I guess, cargo area at the back here. I don't think there's any real bugs with this model that I'm aware of. I'm not that fussy when it comes to that kind of thing. There's usually a button or something here you can press. Not really sure. But look, these actually lights may work. No, I've never really spent much time back here. But anyway, let's get back in the cockpit. We will shut the passenger door. So that's going to be good. And we'll shut the cockpit door. And here we are inside the cockpit. So we have a few views. Actually, let's try this reflections. Yeah, so you can see the screen there. It's going to change a little bit. We might do window reflections. That's fine. And we have the different views in the cockpit. The main view, the pedestal, fuel selector, wing cams, tail cams, co-pilots, radios, view from the rear, wing right, and overhead panel. So we've got lights up here. I don't really spend much time looking up there, to be honest. So we're going to get back down into the cockpit. Now, it's quite a lot going on in this cockpit. I'm actually in the beta version of X-Plane at the moment, so we're going to start this up and have a little look at the GPS, I've actually customized them a little bit, but they kind of look a bit funky because they need to be modified to fit. This hasn't been adjusted for the new GPS available in X-Plane 10.3, which is going to be coming out hopefully not too far away. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to go over the typical startup procedure because it'll just make the video take too long, but I do want to get this thing fired up. So what I'm going to do here is, let's turn on some power. We've got a battery switch here, which is going to fire up this, and you can see, oh, actually, this is actually looking good. Must have been a different plane I was thinking of. I can turn on some of our instruments. Well, that's pretty cool. So you can see here you got these click spots, and you get the new GPS, which is looking pretty cool, which gives you multi-leg flight plans, which I haven't spent a lot of time doing, but looking forward to that when I actually figure it all out. What else have we got here? So I think to get this thing started we need some fuel. We might turn on the ignition arm. Don't know if I need that. This is probably completely wrong, but we're going to go through the process anyway. What am I looking for? Lights. We might turn our generators on. Got our power on there. We're going to turn on the, not the landing lights. I think there is. Oh, this is what I'm looking for, the beacon, which just gives us our little red beacon at the top there. So we're going to do a bit of a half measure. That's cool. We've got our fuel set to cut off, and what we're going to do is, I think we've got fuel that should be all on. We're going to do the right engine start. It should be fine, I think. So I'm going to do a right engine start, see what happens. So we'll hear this thing starting to fire up. We said the turbine's starting to wind up here. So we're just going to wait for that to settle. I think that's the right thing to do. And when it settles, we just move the fuel lever forward. We're just going to stick that on low idle. That's all started up. Check our gauges here. Torque stabilizing, props coming up, prop RPM, turbines in the green, fuel flow is good, everything looks fine. PSI, what's this, oil pressure, it's still in the yellow. Maybe that's because it's kind of cold. Now go and do the same thing to the left engine. Got the cool open the window and get the outside sound, which I really like. Turn some lights on, that sort of brightens everything up. So it would probably help if I put some fuel here. We'll fire up this left engine. One thing I really love about this plane, it is super fast. It's extremely fast plane. Acceleration's amazing. Yeah, it's a really cool plane. As you can see, you can do up to 240, almost 250 knots. So I'm just going to try and get these lights off. I'm just trying to think what they were. Generators. No, it wasn't those. And then we get this weird battery charge. I don't know if that's supposed to be there, but you can actually get rid of it by turning that battery off, but that kind of just seems strange. I don't know if that's the correct procedure or not. Turn our strobes on. Let's get some nav lights on. Won't need that. Taxi lights. No idea what that was all about. Might be a X-Plane beta thing. This is actually a, let me get back in the plane, it's a bit quieter. This is actually one of the free airports that was submitted by the X-Plane community, and is now going to be part of X-Plane 10.3. So you'll now have the community contributing to a airport database, and they're going to be automatically loaded with X-Plane 10.3, which is really cool. I have checked out some of them. It's still a bit buggy in some places. Some of the airports don't load properly, so they're obviously still got to iron that out. Still in beta, so that's to be expected, but really cool. So here we've got another jumbo. He's not coming this way. I'm looking for a windsock to see which way the wind's going, because I didn't bother doing ATIS. I'm just going to turn off this battery here, just to stop that warning there. It just drives me nuts. Alright, let's try and get some airtime. Going to get this way, we'll have a look. Very nicely modelled inside as well. And actually one of the things I would like to do is show you this plane at night. So I'll just quickly do that. I'll just put some brakes on here. Just have a quick look at this at night. Main thing I wanted to do here was, what am I looking at there? Oh, that's the reflections. See, you can really see the reflections working in the night. And I think we can just turn on we'll turn on the landing lights. And there should be, was there a tail light? Oh, over here, tail floodlight. How cool is that? Oh, we're holding, looks like we're holding up an Airbus. Oh well, he can wait. So that's kind of what it looks like at night. Can we turn off the floodlights? I've got myself lost. We can actually play around with these lights as well, but we're going to go back to the daytime. Just dawn, and we'll get some real weather. Oh, we've actually got some storms around our area. Keep moving. This must be the right way if the jet's coming up behind us. Now you do have to be careful in this aircraft because it will explode the engines if you over-rev them. Yep, you can see those reflections. I think the reflections is actually a nice touch. Gives you that sort of sense of realism, which I always go on about. I think I've taxied onto the wrong place because this is the runway here. See what that does. Well, let's turn around. Going pretty fast for a taxi, for taxiing, so. Getting a bit of turbulence outside from the jet, I think. I think that's what's happening. Getting some of that wake. Go outside again, that's very unusual. I think that's what's happening there. That's probably a little bit of a bug. Sun's coming up. What a long taxi. Oh, one of the things I didn't show was this the EFIS, I guess it's called, and the navigate, the autopilot, which is down here, and it just means you can just dig it up here, and you can actually resize, I think. Make it a bit smaller so you can do all your settings from here. Though I haven't been playing around with it that much, so not everything works here, and I don't always like the test button. Power does work. So that's your EFIS power. Then you've obviously got your autopilot, you've got your and some of your other typical settings you might see, but I haven't really spent much time on these switches and what they are. These kind of are a bit new to me because I generally fly GA aircraft, so I'm not even really sure exactly what they all do. But the option's there if you don't want to, you know, look down and do stuff down here. So you got your 2 GPS. It'd be nice if this had the, I really want to see the new 530 GPS in one of the X-Plane aircraft, but I guess we'll start seeing them once X-Plane 10.3 rolls out. We'll start seeing people roll them out into aircraft. We've got our fire things here, I think they are. Your engine instrument lights, you've got your overhead lighting, switches. This was a long taxi. And now that we're not behind the aircraft, you can see we're not getting that turbulence. I know I shouldn't really have my landing lights on now. Watch this aircraft take off. What a lovely plane. You can see we've got a bit of the heat effect there coming off the exhaust. let's keep moving. Quickly, let's just stop on the hold line just to make sure, because we're not using any ATC. No aircraft. Alright, let's go. Now, typically you would be looking at doing your run-up checks, checking your gauges, making last final checks before getting up into the air. Alright, what we might do before we get going is we're going to put 10 degrees of flaps. Then landing. Okay, I think we're good. What's this on? One thing I really love about this plane, it really gets going. Once you get up in the air, it just accelerates. And it just flies so smooth too. So we've got off the ground, so we're gonna gear up. And it's so smooth. Bring the flaps up. Let's get outside and have a look. Really, really fast. Comms. So we can actually over rev these engines. If you just kept the throttles at high like that, you would blow up the engines and catch fire and you will crash. So we don't want to get too much higher. We might just go back in for a landing. We're not exactly doing a traffic pattern, but let's just ease back a bit. I lost the runway. There it is. Find too much rudder there. We're up about 5,000 feet, and we want to get this down much lower than this. So I'm going to pull back on the. It might help if I have my fuel mixture to rich. That's why you have checklists. Kind of strange the way there's no markings here for the pitch. I don't know. It just seems a bit strange to me. I know I think it's the FSX1 version from Carenado does have it, so I just find that a bit odd. But, you know, I guess it's fine. You just don't have any markings to kind of gauge it. We're way too high. Bring this down because we're about 2,000 feet too high. It is very smooth plane to fly. It's really quite nice. Very stable. Fast, carries quite a few passengers, and I think in Australia it's actually used for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. I think it's the B200 King Airs that they use, where they fly in the outback, and it's yeah, it's basically how people get to hospitals and that sort of thing. Pretty low without the gear down. I'll just put my gear down there. We'll just line up with this runway. Not sure what the flap speed is on a King Air. Might just try and get around 100. Actually are losing altitude, so I'm just going to give myself one set of flaps. As we're turning, we're losing too much altitude, so let's try and maintain 1,000. Where is this runway? Did I miss it? I think I've missed it. There it is. So we actually are too low. We get back up. Let's see, we've got the 4 red markers on the runway there. I think that means we're too low. We are way too low. Not exactly a great landing, but anyway, we're going to see what we can do. Okay, so we've got 2. That's kind of a bit better. 2 red, 2 white, which is pretty good. And we're getting too high. I want to try and get 2 red, 2 white. We're just a little bit too high there. My glide slope. Here we go.
500.
Should be a good landing, I think. Coming in probably a bit too fast. dropping a bit too much now. Gotta clear these trees. Yeah, coming in too low now. Just I let it get down too fast, but anyway, we'll be fine. And we'll just pull back on the throttle and just drop the nose down. And that's the Carenado King Air. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We've had a look around. I didn't go through everything. I just thought I'd just do a takeoff and go around. Have a look at some really nice free scenery that's going to be coming with X-Plane, supported by the X-Plane community. Very cool. I'm really enjoying X-Plane right now. I think they're really doing some cool stuff, which is very, very cool. Get our flaps back up. Really enjoyed this aircraft actually. I think I'm gonna have to spend a bit more time here now. I'm flying it again. Sort of wondering why I haven't spent more time in it. It's quite a nice aircraft, and we're going way too fast for taxiing, but it is a long way to get this thing back. I mean, you would never go this fast in real life. I just want us to get one last look at the airport. Since I haven't actually been here before, this is my first look at this place. But it'd be nice to actually fly an X-Plane and not get to airports where there's no building. So I think the 10.3 patch Beta 7 had 700 airports added, which is pretty cool, and community's adding them. They'll be submitted and they get vetted, obviously, to make sure that they're suitable, and then they end up in X-Plane scenery. So, you know, as time goes on, we're just going to get more and more aircraft flying into airports with decent scenery, and all free, which is pretty amazing. That's one thing about X-Plane, is so much of there's so much free add-ons, scenery, aircraft. I mean, the best aircraft are generally payware, but there is a lot of the scenery is free, and it's pretty high standard too. I mean, some of the scenery designers are doing some amazing. This is not going to work out so well, is it? Don't crash into me. So let's have a little look at this scenery over here. Got some nice hangars. So these are the default X-Plane, what they call Lego block. I think they call it Lego block. Maybe it's not Lego block, but something along those lines. Just default buildings provided in the X-Plane editor. Not X-Plane editor, but the airport editor. Didn't we see this plane before? So there you go. Pretty cool. Might just go over the right here. So there we go. That's loud. That's what that is. It's really loud. So there we go. That's the. Let me just turn this off. Fuel cut off. I think I can just come on. I don't have a fancy fuel quadrant thing, throttle quadrant. So when I've got a twin engine aircraft, I use my two joystick throttles for the left and right engines. Kill all this, and we'll just kill all the switches, and we're cool. I think I left my gear up that whole time. I'll put it down, that's right. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. You get another inside look at X-Plane and the new scenery that's coming out with X-Plane. Very, very cool. If you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next